Hello, a very good morning to one and all. Welcome back to Signatures. I was dealing with the second module where we have the speeches and testimonies. In that, we have already seen Charlie Chaplin's speech in the movie, The Great Dictator. Today, we are going to see another great person's speech, that is Harold Pinter. And here he is talking about art, truth, and politics. Art, Truth, and Politics by Harold Pinter. Harold Pinter is a Nobel Prize winning English playwright, screenwriter, director, and actor. So here is another all-rounder, just like Charlie Chaplin. He was also a playwright, screenwriter, director, and also actor who has won the Nobel Prize for Literature, and one of the most influential modern British dramatists. His writing career spanned more than 50 years. So he has been a writer for more than 50 years. His best known plays include The Birthday Party, The Homecoming, and Betrayal, each of which he adapted for the screen. Here screen means for the movie. So all these three plays have been made into movies. His screenplay adaptations of others' works include The Servant, The Go-Between, The French Lieutenant's Woman, The Trial, and Sleuth. So these are other playwrights' works which he has adapted into movies. He also directed and acted in radio, stage, television, and film productions of his own and others' works. So he was also engaged in radio, stage, TV, as well as film productions. Pinter was born and raised in Hackney, East London, and educated at Hackney Downs School. So he was born in London, East London, and he was educated there in that particular Hackney Downs School. He was a keen cricket player, acted in school plays, and wrote poetry. So even as a student, he was interested in writing plays and also acting there. He attended the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art but did not complete the course. So he wanted to study there in that academy for dramatic art, but he was not able to complete the course. Subsequently, he continued training at the Central School of Speech and Drama and worked in repertory theatre in Ireland and England. So he continued his training in Central School of Speech and Drama and also worked in repertory theatre in Ireland and England. Here, repertory means a performance of various plays, operas, or ballets by a company. So a particular company will be performing in a particular theatre different plays, ballets, and operas and all that. So he also worked there. In 1956, he married actress Vivienne Merchant and had a son, Daniel, born in 1958. He left Merchant in 1975 and married author Lady Antonia Fraser in 1980. Pinter's career as a playwright began with a production of The Room in 1957. So that was his first play, The Room. His second play, The Birthday Party, closed after 8 performances but was enthusiastically reviewed by critic Harold Hobson. So this particular play, though it started out well, it was not actually able to continue the show. But critics were very highly appreciative of this work. He appeared as an actor in productions of his own work on radio and also film. So he was also a good actor. He also undertook a number of roles in works by other writers. He directed nearly 50 productions for stage, theatre, and screen. So he not only directed his own works, even other people's plays he had directed. Pinder received over 50 awards, prizes, and other honors, including the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2005 and the French Legion d'Honneur in 2007. So, this speech that we are going to see is taken from his speech given on that particular occasion in 2005. Despite frail health after being diagnosed with cancer in December 2001, Pinder continued to act on stage and screen, last performing the title role of Samuel Beckett's one-act monologue Kraft's Last Tape for the 50th anniversary season of the Royal Court Theatre in October 2006. So towards the end, we find him having a lot of health problems. He was diagnosed with cancer, but still he continued to act on stage, and he died from liver cancer on 24th December 2008. So the speech that we are going to see, titled Art, Truth and Politics, is the Nobel lecture delivered by Harold Pinter. So as I told you, this speech is given on the occasion of his receiving the Nobel Prize for Literature. Since he was ill and admitted in hospital, he videotaped this Nobel lecture, and it was projected on 3 large screens at the Swedish Academy on the evening of 7 December 2005. So he was hospitalized due to his cancer, but in the hospital he was able to videotape his speech and send it to the Nobel Prize organizers in Sweden. So that was telecast on that particular day itself. Pinder delivered a passionate, truthful and courageous acceptance speech. So the speech became very controversial, we'll see later, but he was very courageous in giving such a daring speech, especially against America and all that. Pinder's lecture has been widely distributed by print and online media and has provoked much commentary and debate, with some commentators accusing Pinder of anti-Americanism. So his speech was mostly focusing on the cruelties and atrocities committed by American people and its military. That's why it became very controversial, and many called him as anti-American and all that. In his Nobel lecture, Pinder criticizes the policies and practices of American administrators. So he was mainly attacking the American governments, various governments throughout history, not just one particular government. Pinder has spoken out tirelessly and powerfully against the war in Iraq and the depredations of American imperialism in the Balkans, Central America and elsewhere that preceded it. So he had been talking very vehemently and passionately against America's invasions of other countries. Depredation here. Depredation means actually കവർച്ച അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കൊള്ളയടിക്കുക. മറ്റു രാജ്യങ്ങളിലേക്ക് അതിക്രമിച്ച് കടന്ന് അവരെ കൊള്ളയടിക്കുന്നതാണ് ഡെപ്രഡേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇമ്പീരിയലിസം മീൻസ് സാമ്രാജ്യത്വം. He utilized his acceptance speech to extend and develop that struggle, giving a blistering critique of the entire course of US foreign policy in the period since World War II. So he was very brutally attacking the American foreign policy, which was really inhuman and not actually in tune with international law and all that. So blistering critique means രൂക്ഷമായ വിമർശനം. സോ അമേരിക്കയുടെ ഫോറിൻ പോളിസിക്കെതിരെ രൂക്ഷമായി വിമർശിച്ചുകൊണ്ടാണ് അദ്ദേഹം ഈ സ്പീച്ച് നൽകിയത്. And indicting Britain for its role as Washington's junior partner and accomplice. So not only the USA, he was also attacking UK, Britain, for being a kind of accomplice, kind of trying to help America throughout. So here we find both America and Britain, both were guilty of this crimes against humanity. Mincing no words, Pinder called Bush and Blair war criminals and made an impassioned call for mass political resistance to militarism and war. So he was not very soft on both America and Britain. He attacked both the American president as well as the British Prime Minister Tony Blair for committing war criminals throughout the world. And he was calling upon all other nations to resist such kind of attack or invasion. Here is an edited version of the Nobel lecture which focuses on Pinder's passionate concern for the victims of oppression. So this lesson that we are going to see is very short. It is edited one, not the complete speech. So this is the speech. Starting with, in 1958 I wrote the following. So this speech is given in 2005. So he is referring to what he wrote in 1958 here. There are no hard distinctions between what is real and what is unreal, nor between what is true and what is false. So there is a kind of confusion regarding what is real and what is unreal, what is true and what is false. So we cannot 100% say that something is real or unreal. There is always a kind of uncertainty. The thing is not necessarily either true or false. It can be both true and false. So there is a kind of ambiguity in talking about reality or falsehood. So what is true to one person may not be true to another person, or truth itself can be interpreted by many people in different ways. So it can be true and false at the same time. I believe that this assertion still makes sense and do still apply to the exploration of reality through art. So a statement about truth, that it is not always easy to find truth, and that can be applied even through art. Through art we can say this kind of things, that in art there is no absolute truth. So as a writer I stand by them, but as a citizen I cannot. So in art there is some kind of uncertainty about truth. So in art the artist or the writer may not be presenting truth as it is. He may be looking at truth from his own angle, through kind of his own lens. So there is no absolute truth there. But as a citizen, definitely we have to find out what is truth. As a citizen I must ask what is true, what is false. So in art there may be some uncertainties about truth, because many people can interpret the art in different ways. But in reality there should not be such confusion in real life. So we need to ask constantly and continuously what is true or what is false. It is the duty of every citizen to find out the truth. Truth in drama is forever elusive. So you may not find the truth in art or in drama. It will go on escaping. Elusive means not very clear, not easily found out. Against any marguntrigum, satyam. You never quite find it, but the search for it is compulsive. But in drama or in art, search for truth is compulsive. It comes from kind of instinctive. It is an instinct. Compulsive means ulprerana. So it is within a man to search for truth. So the search is your task. Every person as an individual has this duty to find out the truth. More often than not, you stumble upon the truth in the dark, colliding with it, or just glimpsing an image or a shape which seems to correspond to the truth, often without realizing that you have done so. So sometimes you may be groping in the dark for truth, Sometimes you come across truth suddenly without expecting it. So sometimes you may think something is very close to the truth, and then truth can appear all on a sudden without you realizing it. But the real truth is that there is never any such thing as one truth to be found in dramatic art. So this has to be very clearly understood. In dramatic art or in literature as such, we cannot say there is one particular truth. There is a kind of room for interpretation of the truth. That's why he is saying there are many truths. These truths challenge each other, recoil from each other, reflect each other, ignore each other, tease each other, are blind to each other. So this is the multiplicity of truth, because there are many truths. They may challenge each other, they may collide with each other, they may recoil from each other and all that, or ignore each other. So there is a peculiarity about truth. Sometimes you feel you have the truth for a moment in your hand, then it slips through your fingers and is lost. Sometimes you may think you have the absolute control over a truth, but the next moment you find that it has escaped. It has slipped through your fingers and gone. So language in art remains a highly ambiguous transaction, a quicksand, a trampoline, a frozen pool which might give way under you, the author, at any time. So the language that we use in art, in writing or literature, is highly ambiguous. Ambiguous means it is susceptible, or it is liable to be interpreted in different ways. That means there is no absolute truth. It can be interpreted. It depends on the person who is reading it or the person who is seeing it. That's the meaning of ambiguity here. There is always lack of clarity or certainty about truth, especially when it comes to literature or art. But as I have said, the search for the truth can never stop. It cannot be adjourned, it cannot be postponed, it has to be faced right here, right there on the spot. So just because truth is very elusive, just because it is ambiguous, it doesn't mean that we stop the search for truth. We need to continue to search for the truth. It cannot be adjourned, it cannot be dismissed, it cannot be postponed. We have to do now itself. The search for truth has to be done here and now without postponing it for another day. Political theatre presents an entirely different set of problems. So here he is coming to political theatre that is dealing with politics or leaders. Sermonizing has to be avoided at all cost. That means this political theatre is not meant for giving moral lectures. പ്രഭാഷണം, ധാർമ്മിക പ്രഭാഷണത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു വേദിയല്ലത്. That has to be avoided. Objectivity is essential. So you have to be as close to the truth as possible. The characters must be allowed to breathe their own air. So the characters should be given their own freedom. The author cannot confine and constrict them to satisfy his own taste or disposition or prejudice. So these actors should not be the slaves of the writer. The writer has to give enough freedom. The author has no right to constrict, or constrict means to try to control it beyond limit. ഞെരുക്കുക അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മുറുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് കൺസ്ട്രിക്റ്റ് എന്നത്. He must be prepared to approach them from a variety of angles, from a full and uninhibited range of perspectives. Take them by surprise, perhaps occasionally, but nevertheless give them the freedom to go which way they will. So the author or the writer should approach truth from various angles. He should look at it from different angles, and then from a full and uninhibited range. Uninhibited means not without any limitations. Take them by surprise. That means you should take the characters by surprise, perhaps occasionally, but nevertheless give them the freedom to go which way they will. So the actors should have enough freedom to express on their own. This does not always work. So this concept or method of giving freedom to the actors may not always work. And political satire, of course, adheres to none of these precepts. Political satire is aimed to attack the weakness of political leaders. So it is ridiculing them. So here you cannot have a kind of freedom to the actors and all that. In fact, does precisely the opposite, which is its proper function. So here the political satire definitely has to attack the system directly. It doesn't have much of freedom there. As every single person here knows, the justification for the invasion of Iraq was that Saddam Hussein possessed a highly dangerous body of weapons of mass destruction, some of which could be fired in 45 minutes, bringing about appalling devastation. So here he is coming to America's foreign policy and its invasion. So how did America justify the invasion of Iraq? The excuse was that Saddam Hussein had very dangerous weapons of mass destruction, which could destroy the whole world and all that. We were assured that was true. It was not true. So the America's position that Saddam Hussein had such destructive weapons, that was not true. We were told that Iraq had a relationship with Al-Qaeda and shared responsibility for the atrocity in New York of September 11th, 2001. So we were actually having the memory of this attack, 9/11 on New York Twin Towers. So after that only the policies of America changed. America wanted to end all terrorism and all that. So they told that this Saddam Hussein had a relationship with Al-Qaeda and all that, because Al-Qaeda is the one who attacked the Twin Towers in New York. We were assured that this was true. It was not true. We were told that Iraq threatened the security of the world. We were assured it was true, but it was not true. So the excuse that America gave was that Iraq is a danger to the security of the world, but that was not true. The truth is something entirely different. The truth is to do with how the United States understands its role in the world and how it chooses to embody it. So the truth is actually something to do with what America thinks is right and what role America plays in the world politics. Very often America thinks that they are the global police and they have the right and duty to bring peace to all the different countries in the world. But before I come back to the present, I would like to look at the recent past, by which I mean United States foreign policy since the end of the Second World War. I believe it is obligatory upon us to subject this period to at least some kind of even limited scrutiny, which is all that time will allow here. So now he is looking at the past, where America had their foreign policy changed drastically, especially after the Second World War. So he is trying to scrutinize or look or take a closer look at America's foreign policy. Everyone knows that what happened in the Soviet Union and throughout Eastern Europe during the post-war period. The systematic brutality, the widespread atrocities, the ruthless suppression of independent thought, all this has been fully documented and verified. So after the Second World War, what America did throughout Europe and other countries, we know the systematic brutality, krurada, the widespread atrocities, the ruthless suppression of independent thought. So all these were what America did, and there is enough evidence, they are all documented. But my contention here is that the US crimes in the same period have only been superficially recorded, let alone documented, let alone acknowledged, let alone recognized as crimes at all. So Harold Pinter's argument is that the crimes committed by America during this period is not properly recorded. Very few incidents were recorded, others were just left like that. There is no documentation, nobody even acknowledged that, nobody published any news on this, and nobody bothered to even recognize as crimes at all. So there was a kind of constant and conscious effort done by the media to cover up all that. I believe this must be addressed, and that the truth has considerable bearing on where the world stands now. So according to him, all these atrocities and cruelties committed by America throughout the world has to be revealed, and it has to be investigated into. Only then we will know what really is happening to the world. Although constrained to a certain extent by the existence of the Soviet Union, the United States' actions throughout the world made it clear that it had concluded it had carte blanche to do what it liked. So there was only the Soviet Union which was standing against America. The rest of the world somehow could not resist or could not even stop America or what it did throughout the world, because it had given America a kind of blank check. Carte blanche means a blank check. That means complete authority, full power to do whatever it liked. There was nobody to question America. So with that we have come to the end of the first part. Until we come again to see the second part of this speech, it's goodbye. Thank you.